Hello everybody, welcome back and Happy New Year. It is now 2023 and I hope everybody had an awesome New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. My name is Danny Taylor, co-owner of VeganProteins Online Coaching, and today we are going to be talking about a fresh start in 2023. So a couple of months ago, I made a video talking about sort of my own goals and what they were and how they had shifted and my plans going forward, and part of that was that I was going to be going on a cut in the beginning of 2023, my first cut in 5 years, since 2018. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is sort of how I've set that up, why I've set that up. But, you know, trigger warning, we're going to be talking numbers, there's going to be weight, there's going to be things like that in this video. So if that is not for you, go ahead and just skip this video. It's not something we do a lot on the channel, but as a bodybuilding coach, it comes up. So if this video is not for you, that's totally cool. But before you go, I am having a live goal setting workshop, free and open to everybody, on Tuesday, January 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern. I will leave the link to sign up for that down below. Go ahead and register for it. Even if you missed the live presentation, I will send out a replay of it. There's a workbook. We're going to be talking about how to set goals, how to break down your goal categories, and how to make them attainable so that you reach them by the end of the year. So we did it last year. It was wildly successful. You guys asked for it again this year, so it's coming back. Be sure to register because spots are limited. So one of the things that's really important when it comes to setting New Year's resolutions, which I actually am a huge fan of, I know that puts me in the minority of fitness professionals, like actually liking New Year's resolutions, but there's a lot of good reason why people set goals at the New Year. It's just a good marker of times changing. That doesn't mean that you have to wait till New Year's to set a new goal, but towards the end of the year, it's really nice to be able to look back and reflect on the previous year and what went well and what didn't and what you want to change. And so many people have time off this week leading up to the new year that it just makes sense that you could use this extra time to sort of strategically plan what you hope for the year to come. And honestly, anything that makes people feel a little bit more motivated, a little bit more excited about improving themselves or whatever, like, I'm all for it. As I've talked about a million times, like, motivation is very fleeting. When it happens, it's awesome. You should ride that wave for as long as you can. And for a lot of people, New Year's does that. So I am in full support of New Year's goals, New Year's resolutions, all of that stuff. I'm on board with it. But towards the end of the year, because I always do set goals at the beginning of the new year, I like to look back at the previous year and see what went well and what didn't go so well. And I would offer to everybody, like, that's where you should start when it comes to setting the next year's goals, is really taking a look at the previous 12 months and assessing it for things you liked or didn't like. For me personally, I always set probably about 10 or so goals at the beginning of the year, and at 2022 I did the same. And for the first 6 months or so, things were going super, super well for me. Training was going well, nutrition was going well, business, this was our biggest year in our business ever since we started in 2008. So there are so many wonderful things that came out of 2022 that I plan to take those things and continue with them. So if something's going well, don't change it. Around June, there were some life changes that I did not expect that happened in my world that kind of made the next 5 or 6 months almost feel like a big game of whack-a-mole, where I was just, you know, knocking tasks out as they happened, doing the best I could to keep my head above water in a lot of different areas, and doing so successfully mostly, but not in a way that felt particularly good to me. And one of the biggest areas that happened was actually my fitness and my nutrition. This is one of the first times this has happened in my life where something so big and life-changing came up that it actually made it very hard to keep on top of my training and to keep my nutrition the way that I liked it. And by the end of 2022, I just didn't really feel like myself anymore. I was still training and I was still eating pretty well compared to most people, but not living up to my own standards for myself, and that has not felt good. Basically, when I came out of my prep in 2018, I've been in a building phase ever since the end of 2018, which means my calories have been pretty high. I've been trying to lift, you know, progressively heavier and heavier to build muscle in areas that I wanted to. And I have mostly, but this last 6 months has not felt particularly productive. And I thought, you know, it's been 5 years since I last tried to lose any body fat at all. Maybe this would be a good time to do that. Maybe this would be a good time to focus on that different kind of a goal, because when it comes to fat loss versus building muscle happens so much more slowly than losing fat can. Like under the best case scenario, you can only build as a female like a pound of muscle in a month, and that's like, you know, if you're brand new, maybe 2, but I'm not brand new at this. If I'm building a pound of muscle in a month, like, boy, oh boy, that is fan-freaking-tastic. But under really good best case scenarios, when it comes to fat loss, like, you can lose easily 4 pounds of fat in a month, you know, even up to like 8 for somebody my size. So it's a little bit more gratifying quickly, and sometimes when you're trying to sort of reroute yourself back onto a track that you've been on before, a series of quick little wins can be very helpful, which is what I created the 28-day overhaul for in 2020, was for people who had fallen off track, who needed some quick wins. That's what I created that program for. And now for, you know, maybe the first time ever since I started lifting, I find myself in a position where like, I feel like I kind of need a series of quick wins in that department. And you know, it would be nice to actually get to see some of the muscle that I've built. I think that will be motivating as well, but it is going to require quite a bit of habit change in order to make those goals come to fruition. So that's what I'm going to be talking about now. I hope that all of that makes sense to you guys. Many of you said that you wanted to sort of follow along with this cut and see what I did and how it went. This is not a contest prep. I am not aiming to get contest prep lean at all. But I'll give you sort of my stats. So again, this is where we're gonna get into numbers. If you don't like that, please don't watch it for your own benefit. I am 36 years old, almost 37. I am 5'7", and as of January 1st, I weigh 150 pounds on the nose, which is a perfectly healthy weight for somebody my height, my age, all of that, but it is the highest number that I've seen probably ever since I initially lost weight when I was 20 years old. And I know that some of that is muscle, but some of that is not. Some of that is a result of eating not as nutritiously as I like to. Some of the weight that I have on now, it's a result of not training as hard or as regularly as I have before and eating strangely. I believe that my caloric consumption has increased, whether I kind of realized it or not, by doing these occasional nutrition audits, which I always do. My estimate is that my intake has been somewhere between 22 and 2,500 calories, probably for at least a few months, which isn't particularly high for somebody in a building phase that's my size. However, it has not been comprised of, you know, the same amounts of proteins that I would normally have. The meal timing has been weird. There's been a lot more like snacky foods in it that I've just never really had in the house before until now. And that's a whole separate topic. It's been very different. So going into this cut, my goal is I'm gonna do a cut for 10 weeks. So that's 70 days roughly. There is a hard end date on this cut. I'm not intending to go past that point because I do not think diets should last forever. And the way that I have this cut set up is that I'm going to be lifting 4 days a week, doing 30 minutes of cardio 5 days a week. And when I say cardio, I mean incline walking. This is not like super crazy cardio. Honestly, everybody should be walking for at least 30 minutes a day. I'm gonna try to keep my steps at 10,000 every single day. My water intake has stayed good. My sleep has stayed pretty good throughout this whole thing. So those don't really need to change too much. Gonna be hitting, so let's talk about the nutrition. That's the training side of things. Training isn't going to change dramatically. I just need to be more consistent with it. And I need to make sure my step count stays up, because that is something that, without paying attention, dropped dramatically towards the end of 2022, which I did not like. As you've heard me talk about before, walking is the best exercise ever. And prior to June, hitting 10,000 steps a day was very easy for me because I would go outside and walk, but I haven't really been able to get out as much as I was before. And that is gonna change. My nutrition is probably gonna be the biggest change for me. So I wasn't really tracking before. I would occasionally do an audit, like I mentioned, and it was like 22 to 2,500 calories. So my nutrition 5 days a week is gonna be 1,575 calories with 135 grams of protein. All vegan, of course. I shouldn't have to say that, but sometimes people ask. And then the 2 days on the weekends, it's probably gonna be on the weekends, I'm gonna have refeed days at 2,150 calories with the same protein, 130, 135. And There's a lot of reasons that I believe refeed days are really important, physiological reasons, psychological reasons. I think that it's very important. And my goal at the end of this 70 days, and if my starting math is correct, which I think it'll be pretty close, you know, bodies are not 100% predictable machines, but I've been doing this a long time, so I think I'll be pretty close. By the end of the 70 days, I suspect that I'm gonna clock in around 135-ish pounds, you know, give or take a little bit if everything goes to plan. So that is my rough plan going forward. Other things that have changed that I think are going to make a big difference are actually that I signed up for a different gym, and this is so totally weird for me. So I have always trained at just like a big box gym. I have my workouts that I'm gonna do. I write workouts for a living, so it's not like I don't know how to train at the gym. But showing up has been the problem because it seems like there's always something else for me to be doing here. And I do have a very well-equipped gym in the basement, but it's like there's always work to be done, there's always chores to be done, there's always kid stuff that needs to be taken care of. Like there's a million things that I can do that can often seem more important than going and training. Obviously, looking back at 22, I realized like actually that stuff was really important for my physical health, for my mental health. So I'm prioritizing it more this year. Certainly this first 70 days is going to kickstart all of those habits. But signed up for a gym that a friend of mine, Dawn Veris, owns. It's called Dawn's Here, and it's right in town. And it is a pretty badass gym, actually. It is a women's lifting gym. It's not like Curves, not that I had anything against Curves, but it's not like that. It's women lifting heavy, and it's in like a class format, which I have never done. Like I have never taken classes in my life, so I was really nervous about that actually. But having gone for the last couple months, I actually really like it. It's different than how I normally lift, and sometimes different can be good because when you write your own training programs, it's very easy for you to not program the stuff that you're not good at, and then you just never get better at it. So there's some things in there that I'm really enjoying, but mostly what I am enjoying is this community of women who also like to lift. And because you have to register for the classes, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So if I say, hey, Dawn, I'll be there at this time on this day, see you then, I'm going to be there. So it adds this extra level of accountability for me to show up. And then I'm filling in any holes for my own bodybuilding training at my regular gym as well, 2 days a week. So overall, it will be 4 days a week, 1 day of like an active recovery day, cardio 5 days a week, 10,000 steps a day. Talked about the nutrition. So that is my plan. And it sounds like a lot when I say it out loud, but it's not like what I was doing was so far off of that this is all completely brand new, plucked out of the sky. It's like, this is what I know I'm capable of doing. I just need to help myself get back to it a little bit more. And I assume a lot of you can relate to that. Like you can think of a time in your life where you were operating sort of optimally and then something happened and it kind of derailed you. So now you know what you're capable of doing. It's a matter of getting back to it. So sometime this week, I will be recording a sort of what I eat in a day video so that you guys can get a look at that, because anytime I talk about numbers and calories and what I eat, and people are like, how can you possibly eat 1575 calories and get 135 grams of protein? And I don't use protein powder. So people always want to know how that is possible as a vegan. So when I do record these videos or talk about my journey at all, it is so important for you guys to understand this is my journey, and take as you want like bits and pieces of advice or inspiration or whatever, but do not copy what I do. For many people, 1575 calories 5 days a week might be too little. For some people, that'll be too much and they won't see progress. Some people might need less protein than I require. Some people need to train differently, but we are all very unique individuals. So if you are trying to figure out what you need to do for you, that is literally what I do. Is myself, Giacomo, Athena, we coach vegans one-on-one to help them get in the best shape possible. And it's what, ironically, I ended up missing going to the gym for last year more than anything else was to help other people with their journey. And as proud as I am of all of those people and what we were able to accomplish, I have to make sure that I'm doing the things that I need to do to maintain that as well. And that's what 2023 is going to be about for me, is getting back to all of those things that make me feel really good, make me perform really well, you know, fill me with life and make me excited about all of this work that I do. I want to make sure that, you know, I don't just come on here and talk to you guys about how easy everything is for me and how I'm just killing it all the time, because often when you're killing it in one area of your life, something else is going to suffer. So make sure you're aware, even other fitness professionals, nutrition professionals, like of the highest caliber you can think of, they struggle too sometimes. And this last few months has been a struggle for me. So we're getting back at it. If you have any questions or anything you want me to cover going forward as I talk about my journey, let me know. I'm going to be making videos more frequently. Giacomo is going to be coming back to the channel. Athena is going to be making some appearances on the channel. I'm very, very excited about what Vegan Proteins online coaching has in store for 2023. Really looking forward to sharing it with you guys, and I want to be as open of a book as I possibly can be for you. Yeah, and I'll be posting regular story updates, I'm sure, as well over on my Instagram at VeganProteins. And of course, you can always find us at VeganProteins.com. That's what I got for you. Make sure you register for the goal setting workshop below. I'm very, very excited about it, and I look forward to seeing you there. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.